The Fantasy Skirmisher.
Hey everyone, this is Nevin. Welcome back to the Fantasy Skirmisher, and today I'm going to review Rogue Dungeon 2nd Edition. This is a solitaire dungeon crawl published by Cerberus Gate Games and designed by Albert Danish and Chad Manacia. The art is done by John Smith. So in addition to solo play, this new 2nd edition now supports co-op play for up to 3 players. The new edition also includes 5 brand new heroes, so for a total of 10. And also the game boards have been upgraded and the art is more cohesive. So each board has a reverse side which can be used as one large dungeon map, or you could just use the standard cards where you go 5 levels down. It also includes the Tomb expansion with a full set of rooms, additional maps, bosses, monsters, and cursed loot. So I have played this game 4 times. The first 2 times was the standard dungeon using the cards where you're going down 5 levels. You know, each card represents a level that you go through. And then I played it with the Tomb expansion. Completely different experience. I found it to be a lot tougher than the dungeon setup, but I lost all 3 of them. And then I tried the large dungeon. So on the back of all the mats, you have different dungeon setups where you just go down one large dungeon to where the boss monster is. So in the case, the boss monster, it's located here. So you go through levels 1 through basically 5 to get to the boss monster. I'll go through some of the components as I go through kind of a sample game. I'll just go through a few rooms in the first level dungeon. But setup is pretty straightforward. Before we talk about setup for the boards, we'll just go over the different cards and different layout. So there are 6 different types of rooms. So you have the red ovals. These represent monsters and combat type situations. The yellow teardrop represents traps and hazards. The white rectangle, this is trading and exchanges. Then you've got the green square. These are either boons or beneficial type cards. And then you have the blue circle. These have specific item requirements. So it requires you to have something, some type of loot to be able to activate one of these cards, for example. And then finally, we've got the purple triangles rooms, which have weapons or some type of combat bonuses. So those are the room cards. And then we've got monster cards, and you've got a stack of cards for each level. These are the level 1 monster deck right here. Then we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you've got the boss cards. Because in order to win, you need to get to the boss and defeat the boss. So as I mentioned, there are 10 heroes to choose from, and each hero has its own card, and they're double-sided for male and female. So here I've got set up, going to play a female ranger, and I've got her wooden meeple right there. But you could also choose from a sorceress or sorcerer, a miner, a crusader, a machinist, see the little gnomes in there, a monk, a barbarian, an aristocrat, a rogue, or a bard. Now, unfortunately, it comes with 10 meeples, but they're kind of mixed up. You should have 20, one for each male or female, right? But here it just mixes it up. So for the ranger, only has the female version, which is why I chose the female version. So maybe in a future expansion, they'll include the rest. So it looks like the monk right there, female monk, the sorceress, but no sorcerer. You really can't tell with the machinist, right? So that doesn't matter. Then you've got male crusader. And here's the rest of them. You get the point. But they look very nice, don't they? When you set up for a new game, the first thing you need to decide is whether you want to play the tomb or the dungeon. So there's a large stack of cards to choose from. You randomly mix them up, and you just need to be careful. They're all numbered here. So this is T08, so that would be tomb, and it's got a little tomb symbol there. So you got T01. Oh, there you go for tomb. So what you do is mix them all up and then just draw 5 cards, which you would place on the dungeon board as so. Then you will choose your hero. Like I said, I chose the rogue, so I'll place my meeple right there. Now the dungeon board has an area right here. This is where if you enter a room, which the room card will go here. If it involves any monsters, the monsters will go here that you'll need to deal with. And speaking of monsters, this is where the monster cards go. So when you move out of the first card from level 1 and go into level 2, you would take these level 1 cards, put them away, and replace them with the level 2 cards. And then you have a stack of loot and also some specialty items here. And if you play the Tomb expansion, there's also cursed loot as well that you may have to deal with. Now for the player board, the hero card that you choose, you place right here. And it's got some stats which show you where to place the various abilities. So here you've got a strength of 2 for the ranger. Then you've got dexterity of 3 and intellect of 2. The orange heart is vitality, which is 5. Then you have health 5, starts with 3 luck. And you have, when you do damage, you only do 1 damage to begin with. So you put your ranger card here. And then you've got the stats go up here. So here, I've got the strength, which is in the 2 space. And then I've got the agility 3, and then intellect 2, vitality 5. And one thing that is really nice about this player board here is that when you start leveling up, this shows you exactly how much experience you need to get to the next level, or so to speak, or to improve your different core abilities. So right here, if I move strength from 2 to 3, I would need to expend 2 experience points to do so. For agility, I would need to expend 3 experience points. And it gets more expensive as you move along the track to a max of 11. So this track goes to 11. And then for the vitality, so vitality determines your maximum health. So I cannot exceed 5 health because my vitality is 5. But if I expend 5 experience points and move it to 6, then my max health can be 6, not 5. Each hero comes with their own starting loot, and that's what gives them some personality and different abilities. So you can see here's the sorcerer, sorceress, crusader, so on and so forth. And obviously the sorcerer, sorceress, he has a staff versus like a bow for the ranger, more spells, things like that. And so they're organized really conveniently on this track here, where you can see there's little symbols that match the space on the player board. So here you have treasures, here you have skills, and then here you have potions, and then you've got scrolls, weapons, types of armors, henchmen that you may be able to hire in the dungeon, and then you have your backpack, so to speak. You have your equipment. And in addition to your specialty loot, each player, I should say you as the player, draws 3 camping gear to place in there. And camping gear allows you to heal when you take a rest action. And if you're playing with 3 players, you would each get 1 camping card. But if you're playing by yourself, you get all 3. It's pretty much set up. I should bring these up here. So this is just a reminder of how much damage you do when you hit. And we'll talk about that when we go over combat. And these are the luck tokens you could spend. And these allow you to re-roll a die or to add +1 or -1 to a die roll. And then, of course, you have your health. And when your health is at 0, you're dead. Also, each hero has a primary ability. And so it has a little glow or splat in the background. So agility is the primary ability for the ranger. And there may be other heroes that have more than one primary ability. So here we got the barbarian as strength, of course. And then you've got the monk, where all three are primary abilities. And so that comes into play when you're using weapon cards. Each turn comprises of 3 phases. The first one is explore, and that is where you move your hero meeples on the dungeon map. And then you'll place a gem token in the indicated direction, just so you know that that room has been explored. Then, talking about exploring, that's when you have the resolve phase. And you resolve all written text on the room card. And then, when that's done, is the rest phase, where you discard the room card and the heroes may camp. And that is where you can use the camping gear to help you heal. Let's do a few turns here, just so we get an idea for how this game plays. All right, so now we've got everything set up. And my ranger, she is going to move from the stairs to the first room here. And that is the yellow teardrop. So we're going to place the token facing in this direction as the teardrop. Notice they all face different directions. And that's because some rooms may be persistent, meaning they stay out and play. So we're going to draw the first card. And it is a bat swarm. You are swarmed by hordes of bats. Pass only if your hero discards a torch. If you fail, you take damage equal to the dungeon level, which is 1. If you have a torch and discard it, you pass and you gain 3 experience points. So let me stop and talk about various tests. So some room cards may require you to do an ability check based on one of your stats here. So let's just say I have to do a check on agility. So I'd roll a d10, and for me to pass, I would need to roll less than or equal to my ability. And that's why it's important, even though my primary stat is agility, it's important for me to advance all of these because I am going to be doing various checks on all my stats. And if you roll greater than the ability, then you fail and then have to suffer the consequences. So back to my bat swarm. So I do happen to have a torch, which is a part of the Ranger's starting equipment. And so I'm going to discard this. So I pass this test, and I'm going to get 3 experience points. And you could cash in experience points at any time. And let's see here. Here we go. 3 experience points. And I think what I want to do, I could either save it or I can move one of these stats up. So I think I'm going to go ahead and move strength up. So I'm immediately going to spend what I earned. Now it is the rest phase. I have taken no damage. I don't need to heal. I discard this room card. That goes away. And then we start a new turn. Now I could either go here or down here. Let's see here. I think I'm going to go down this way. So this is the blue circle. So I draw a card. And it is a wounded dwarf. One hero may discard garlic, loaf of bread, hunk of cheese, meaty rib, pint of ale, healing potion, or healing scroll to take the dwarf from the specialty deck. So basically, taken from the specialty deck allows me to get an ally or a henchman, which I could place here. But I have none of those things, so I have to leave this poor wounded dwarf where he is. All right, now I place this here. Well, I could go back up this way. There's no persistent room, so I wouldn't have to encounter it again, and go here. or I could just go here. So looks like I'm going to have combat either way. So I'm going to move over here, and let me get the red jewel, place it down, draw a room card, the appropriate one, and it is a guard barracks. Draw 2 monsters and resolve combat. Okay, now I want to point out the guard barracks does not have a symbol here, but the wounded dwarf has the dungeon symbol. So when you play the tomb game, you would keep anything that does not have a symbol, because those are core cards for both, and you would remove all the dungeons and replace them with the tomb cards. And the tomb cards replaces just about every card in some of these different types of rooms. Anyway, we have 2 monsters. The first one is a Shadow Wight. And you can see it's got stats. These are things that you could, if you have this type of equipment, you could use it to defeat the Shadow Wight easily. Here, this is the damage, so it has only 1 health. So if you do 1 hit, and that's all the damage we can do right now is 1, right? We kill it immediately. We have to roll a 7, this is the target number, a 7 or greater to be able to hit. And it does 2 damage if it hits us. All right, so that is the first monster in the barracks. And we draw another monster, and it is a goblin. And to defeat it right away, we need, looks like some ale. And we need to roll 8 or greater to be able to hit. It does 1 damage if it hits us. And also, the first level monsters are pretty easy to kill, as you can see. So what you want to do is you really want to encounter all these rooms to get as much experience as possible to be able to improve your stats. All right, let's do some combat. So the first thing you would do is just check the status on any heroes or monsters that may have sleep or ensnare tokens on them. That's your opportunity to roll to see if you can get them removed. Also, there is a chance to try to evade. So for example, if our ranger was wounded, didn't have many health left, we might want to run away, risk dying and losing the game. To successfully evade, we would need to roll for each monster, and we would need to roll greater than their level. So for us to successfully evade, we would have to roll 2 or higher for each of these level 1 monsters. Now, one thing we could do in trying to improve our odds of evading, if needed, is you get a +1 for each loot card or +2 for each treasure card that you discard for your roll. And when it comes to boss monsters, well, you can't evade them. You have to fight them. All right, so combat here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to target a monster. And I think what I'm going to do is target the Shadow Wight, because his strength, or basically his to hit number is 7 versus the goblin's 8. So what we're going to do is place our die on the card to indicate that that's the target. And I'm placing 2 dice, and there's a reason for that, is that, and I think this is a 2nd edition thing. So game difficulty. So you could scale the difficulty of the play experience by how many dice you get to roll, or d10s you get to roll. So for a beginner, it's 3 d10s. For intermediate, you roll 2 d10s, and then for expert, you roll 1 d10. I'm not sure that the 1st edition game, you could only roll 1 d10. So here, the games that I played, I did intermediate where I rolled 2 d10s and I chose the one that I wanted. And I didn't tell you this at the beginning, but I lost all 4 games. So anyway, that's the target. And then what we do is we calculate the monster attack value. So like I said, it is 7. But since he is being supported by the goblin, he gets +1. So if there was another monster here, the wight would get +2. So now the monster's attack value went from 7 to 8. And then what I would do is roll the dice. And I rolled really well. I rolled an 8 and a 10. A 10 is an automatic hit. A 1 is an automatic miss. So I automatically hit, but I would add the die roll with my primary a tribute, so here it would be 3. So I have a total of my hero attack value, or HAV, of 13 compared to the monster's attack value, or MAV, of 8. Make sense? So I clearly won, and I do 1 damage. And you can put that reminder on the card. No, you do 1 damage. And damage is determined not by your level, but by your weapons. Okay? So I have got 1 weapon, that's a bow. And you can see that it matches my primary ability, agility. And if I got another weapon that has the green agility, then my attack value, or my damage value, I should say, would be 2, not 1. So how much damage you do is determined by how many weapon cards you have that match your primary ability. So I do 1 damage, and that's all I need to kill this white. And by doing so, I get 1 loot card, a potion of vitality, discard to gain 1 vitality. All right, that's fantastic. And I am going to do that. So I discard this card, and my vitality goes up to 6. Now we've got the goblin to deal with. He has an attack value of 8. No bonus because the white is dead. So we are going to roll the dice. I rolled a 4 and a 2. All right, so 4 plus 3 is 7. So in this case, he would do 1 damage to me, and my health goes from 5 to 4. Now what I could do is I could spend a luck token to reroll, but in this situation, I'm not going to do that. All right, so now we've got another round of combat. 10 and a 9 auto hit here. So another 13 to his 8. And so the goblin has been defeated as well. So we have got an amulet of protection. So discard to prevent a monster special ability that would affect anything on your player board. Oh, that's cool. And so you can see where it goes right here with my equipment. And we're going to talk about monster abilities here in just a second. Oh, and I didn't collect my 1 experience point for the white, and I get 1 experience point for the goblin because that's what their level is. So you get 1 experience for each level. So if it's a level 2 monster, I get 2 experience, so on and so forth. So I've got a total of 2 experience here, which I can't do anything with it yet. And I mentioned spending experience points to improve your stats, but you could also spend 5 experience points to gain another luck token as well. All right, so that is combat. Now that seemed pretty straightforward, right? But in starting at level 2, there is 1 monster that has an ability, and as you get to level 3, 4, and 5 monsters, they'll have multiple special abilities. And so here we have a level 2 monster, and this is an Assassin Vine. And you can see here it has an Ensnare special ability. So if your combat roll matches the Ensnare number here, so if I rolled a 5, and that was my, after all modifiers and everything, it equaled 5, I would be ensnared. So I would have that little web token placed, and I wouldn't be able to do anything because of that. So I had to have the ensnare token on my ranger. And let's take a look at ensnare. Just says place an ensnare token on the hero, but you can see that you need to roll strength +2 for ensnare to be able to remove the token. And you can see here on the back of the rule book, you got a really handy reference. It talks about the turn overview, the combat rounds, luck, ability checks, spending XPs, and monster special abilities. And you can see here that there's quite a few monster special abilities. I just grabbed a random one, Stone Golem, who has Berserk and Stone Flesh. And so what you can do is just look that up. Berserk gain +2 MDM until the end of the combat. It's not cumulative. And then stone. The other one here, let's see, stone flesh, reduced damage taken by MDM. As a reminder, looking at the goblin here, the MDM is monster damage. So you have its health, its attack value, monster attack value, and MDM, which is the monster damage. All right, let's move on to a new round. It's the explore phase. And we are going to move here to the green room and draw a green room card. And it is a treasure room. You find a room filled with treasure. All heroes draw 2 loot cards. So we've got, we've got a treasure. And so treasures count as 2 loot cards for trading purposes. So we put that in the appropriate slot. And then we've got holy water. Discard to inflict d6 plus 1 damage to a zombie, skeleton, shadow white, skeleton warrior, ghoul, wraith, vampire, or mummy, and gain 1 XP. So that goes with our equipment. Now we're going to move on to a new turn, and we're going to go to another red room. So we draw a red card, and the room is an encounter. Draw 1 monster and resolve combat. So we draw the level 1 monster, and it is a wolf. So the wolf has 2 health, and its target value is 7, and its monster damage is 1. So the monster attack value is 7, and it has some things you could use to defeat it. So there's a couple of things here. I have got an ability called Speak to Animals, and it requires a 3+ on the agility ability, which I have. I have it on 3. So I could spend this, I discard it to charm a wolf, cave bear, dire wolf, rats, evil cats, giant cobra, or giant spider cannot be traded, because again, this is a ranger's ability. Now, I have to discard this card to be able to charm this wolf. However, I can purchase it back for 5 XPs. So I'm going to go ahead and discard this. So what I will do is I will look in the specialty deck, and let's look for the wolf. Here it is, Charmed Wolf. So agility is at least 4 for ability checks. Discard to block any damage. All right, so he is my henchman. So I now have a Charmed Wolf. And this wolf is defeated, so to speak. Discard the room card and the monster level 1 card. And we're going to move on. So we've got another yellow teardrop we're going to move into. And the room is a narrow ledge. Make an agility check to cross the narrow ledge. Pass if you have a rope, or discard a flying carpet. Well, we have neither. So if we fail, we take damage equal to the dungeon level, which is 1. If we pass, gain 2 XP, which is once per game. And if you notice, it has the jewel here, which means this is a persistent room. So this room stays in play. So we'll just kind of put it along the board here, and we take a jewel and we match it with the direction it's going, so we know what room this is in. All right, so I'm going to roll 2 dice. I need to roll a 3 or less to pass this. I rolled 2 1s. Okay, so I automatically passed this, so I got past that narrow ledge. But if I ever backtracked, I would have to do this again. And let's just do one more room here. Then we'll call this example of play done. Purple room. And we've got a weapons master. Right, you encounter a weapons master who wants to trade. Any hero may discard 2 loot cards or 1 treasure to take a weapon from the specialty deck or discard. Oh, that's awesome. And we happen to have a treasure. So we are going to discard the treasure because it counts as 2 loot. And we are going to take from the specialty deck a weapon. And obviously we want something that matches our prime ability. So we could do a dagger, a sword. Yeah, let's do a sword. All right, so now the damage we do when we hit is 2, not 1. So obviously that's going to help us in the level 2 room. So let's just say we made our way down to the stairs right here. So what we'd do is we would remove the card and all the tokens. We would move the stairs from level 1 to level 2. And now she is on the stairs level 2. That is basically how the game plays, and I love this game. It's fantastic. There is a lot of game in this small box. So not only do we have, the basic dungeon, but we have also got all brand new cards for the various rooms for the tomb, which gives it its own flair. And as you can see, the artwork is absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to go through all the cards because I did an unboxing video just a little while ago. And if you want to see more of the artwork on this really beautiful production here, feel free to look at that. But I do want to say that I highly recommend this game. You can go to the company's website to purchase it. I think it would be a valuable game for your collection. It's portable, it's easy to set up, it's easy to learn. The rule book is really well done. I had no problems getting any questions I had answered from the rule book. So you've got the basic rules here, and then you've got 2 examples of play, 2 combat examples. More of a basic and more of an advanced with the abilities. And then a basic gameplay example, and then the monster special abilities, and then rules for the large dungeon maps, how that gets set up and how you use that. It also includes clarifications. I'm sure this came from questions that resulted from their first edition, and also variants. So you got a fast variant, a random rooms variant, and various credits, and of course that really handy one-page sheet on the back of the rules, which answers most of your questions. So again, there's lots of replayability just because of all the different rooms. You've got exploration, you have various encounters, you have interesting monsters with different abilities. Even your heroes have different abilities because of their special abilities, the types of equipment that they may have, as well as their stats. So it's really, I found the game really addictive. And so once I lost one game, I wanted to play it again, and I lost that, and I wanted to try the tomb one, lost that very quickly. The second game I played was very close. I did a short, which I show you in a few seconds on how I lost the game. Quite entertaining, if I do say so myself. And again, I highly recommend this game. I think it'll be a nice addition to any dungeon crawl collection you may have. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.